Hey guys, this is part two on this just brief introduction and discussion on neoliberalism. The first part I talked about the history and the meaning of it, okay, and we're talking about economic liberalism, okay, which means free market. And I said that the two main components of the political agenda that was brought in really by Reagan and has been dominant over both parties since then, okay? Um, Deregulation and privatization, okay? This is uh, corporate America basically taking control, all right? So some of their agenda items are like push back EPA regulations, okay? Push back uh, FDA regulations, the private prison industry, the entirety of it. Okay, and that's why Democrats like Joe Biden and both of the Clintons have been so catastrophic is that they did this on the Democrat side of the aisle, okay, where we know that this is the agenda of Republicans. But there are major players in this. I'm talking about organizations. Uh, Two of them are Heritage Foundation. I talked about that, and the American Legislative Exchange Council, which I call ALEC. Okay. Now, interesting history on these that both of them started in the early 70s and were formed by Paul Weyrich, okay, the same individual kickstarted these two organizations, okay, Heritage Foundation, ALEC, and the Moral Majority, okay, if you remember Jerry Falwell, okay. So basically, what they were doing is they were taking the Republican Party. I mean, the Republicans have always been pro business, okay, and Democrats were supposed to be pro labor, uh, and especially, I mean, from the time of FDR. But in the 70s, then, big business wanted to push back. And so that's where you see this new conservatism that is extreme, uh, crazy evangelical Christians. Okay, that's why they kind of just pulled together. Uh, See, they can campaign on say being pro-life. Okay, so they're appealing to a very false sense of uh, ethics and morality. That's their appeal. Okay, through evangelicals and even very conservative Catholics, etc. But they really they really don't give a damn. Okay, they will push it, and I mean, you see now how extreme they are, trying to pass bills to have women put in prison on murder charges for having an abortion. Okay, these people are fucking extreme. They are goddamn Christo fascists. Okay, literally. Okay, but their real agenda is economic. Okay, so uh, here this top article here at the top. I'm trying to see where my finger. Okay, up at the top. Well, you're not going to see it, but at the top of the screen, the American Legislative Exchange Council and the neoliberal coup. The second article, privatizing schooling. Okay, they are the big pushers behind these charter schools. And how that works is basically they're taking funds out of public schools and putting them into privately owned schools, called charter schools, okay? We know that charter schools suck. Honestly, you should be very careful about that. Don't fall for the propaganda. It's not about school choice, okay? They are destroying the public school system because, I mean, the federal budget is almost, it's like 500 billion a year. It's huge money. That's what they're after, okay? And in places where these charter schools have been around for quite a while, you can see corporations going in and buying them up by the dozens. Okay, that's what it's about, guys. Okay, and they don't pay their teachers as well, anywhere near as well. They don't have specialized programs. Okay, they're garbage. They're businesses. That's what they are. Don't fall for that shit. Okay, public schools are extremely important, and honestly, they're good. Okay, they're not going to be good when we defund them, which is what they've been doing. All right. I want to show the reality because when you hear about this organization and you don't know about it. Okay, I went to a protest in 2014, I think it was, here in Dallas. Okay, these people are real, all right, and it was like limousine busloads of Republican politicians and corporate lobbyists and millionaires and billionaires, all right. Uh, they had, they usually have like two annual, uh, what do you call it, where the conferences, uh, and they just happened to have one in Dallas that year. So we had several of the local labor unions helped organize this, and some of the activist groups, and we all got together to build awareness and to protest. So I'm going to go through just a short list of some of the people that you should know if you're in Oklahoma and Texas. All right, and you can look these up. Alec Exposed is a good website where they were actually, I think it's the Center for Media and Democracy, I think, okay? And this is a watchdog group, and they received like the first major leaks from someone inside Alec, leaked out, thousands of documents showing, what they were doing, okay? And it's called a bill mill, okay? And what that means is that the organization, okay, ALEC, at one time it was 300 U.S. corporations. It's massive, okay? And they have their lawyers, these corporate lawyers, lobbyists, sit down and write out the legislation that they want passed by Republican legislators. And they fucking hand it over, okay? But because that is culpable, they call it model legislation. So in other words, we're not telling you to take this and pass it. We'll change, a few trivial words in it, so you have plausible deniability. They call it model legislation. They're handing over the fucking legislation that they want passed, okay? And so these are some of the names: Sherry Conley, Dean Davis. You'll see most of these, of course, are Republicans. There are Democrats, um, especially your blue dog Democrats. But honestly, Democrats now are so corrupt that they don't even need Alec. They're going to do the same thing Republicans are going to do, okay? Jim Inhofe, definitely, of course, one of the big Alec players. And if you remember years ago when he walked into Congress, and what did he put? He laid down like this great big ball of hail or ice or a snowball or something and said, you know, tell me that global warming is real, asshole. But you can literally look him up on these websites like Open Secrets and Alec Exposed, and you can find the funding that comes from the petroleum industry, you know, They're the ones who pay him to go in and bullshit and block, anything that tries to, improve the environment, anything that tries to regulate petroleum industries. And, we're trying to save the planet, and we literally can't because these people block any movement. These are just more of Oklahoma Republicans. Okay, what was her name? Your governor a few years, Mary Fallon. Okay, she's Alec. Just like it should be right there on her name tag. And you can see that they have these different working groups. So you have ALEC Energy, Environment and Agriculture, the ALEC Health and Human Services. Okay, they represent these 300 corporations. Okay, so all of the major insurance companies were members. All of the major defense companies, Boeing, Lockheed. Okay, all of them. Walmart, McDonald's, Pepsi, Coca-Cola. Okay, every fucking corporation that you can name was a member, and even these private prison corporations like Geo Group and what used to be called CCA, but I think they Corrections Corporation of America, but they've changed they're trying to rebrand themselves. The Education Task Force, that's the charter school and private school garbage. Okay. Fossil fuel industry pushed legislation criminalizing pipeline protesters. You have environmental groups, and especially if you've been noticing for several years, the indigenous groups, okay, who want to, I mean, they're if you would call them Indian people, the native people, okay, um, environment is extremely important to them. I mean, that we know this, okay, it's just extremely important part of their culture, always has been. But you have the major issue of these damn pipelines running through their lands, and they try to protest, and you got two, like if you were paying attention to what was going on in South Dakota, several years ago, the corporation will bring out um, their own private army, and we're talking about army, okay? The feds will come out, your local police and sheriffs come out. I mean, they send out a goddamned army to to shoot down the protests. Okay, it's not a joke, But now here they're literally trying to criminalize protest, and you've seen the big push for that out in Kentucky. It's going on all over the place. Blah 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 blah. See, here's Mary Fallon, Valero Energy. Okay, asking her to support a certain bill, HB 1123. The measure increased criminal penalties for those who trespass, okay, on a critical infrastructure facility. So you can be on Native American land, okay, but they want to make that pipeline as, okay, critical infrastructure facility and make it illegal for you to be there and protest, or because sometimes protesters will try to shut off the valves and sometimes will even handcuff themselves to it. So they want to make this, a goddamn felony. Amy Goodman was arrested, if you remember, a few years ago, and she was just arrested being there filming. Okay, it's really insane. And here you see this term model bill. Okay, Alec adopted a model bill borrowing language from the Oklahoma law. And then since then, more than a dozen states from across the country have followed suit. Okay, this is Scott Pruitt, okay, asshole, sorry, from Oklahoma. And like, there were email leaks of his private conversations and shit that he was doing on behalf of the oil industry. And of course, then Trump appointed him to, to head the EPA, and he got caught up in so much corruption there, he had to resign. And they brought in, what was his name, Rick Perry, the governor of Texas, who's another crook, And Rick is, of course, Alec. George W. Bush was Alec. Okay, they're all Alec guys. That's, I mean, when you get into this, it's just like you see it. Here's Inhofe with his great big snowball. These people are just full of shit. Everything is bigger in Texas, including Alec's influence, okay? So, I mean, Alec was going on down here, back in the 80s and 90s, and they own this place now, okay? Texas was a Democrat state, okay, until there was like a revolution here when George W. Bush came in, and he brought unbelievable corruption to this state, and it is horrible, guys. I'm telling you. This we had just a few weeks ago the big ice storm and the whole shit going on with the electric companies. Greg Abbott, our current governor, he's Alec. Okay. Ken Paxton, the Attorney General, he's Alec. Okay, all these people, they're all Alec guys. Just look them up. Ted Cruz, Alec. All right. And another place, of course, Scott Walker. I mean, it's like when you see the way they talk and when you see the kinds of things that they try to pass and the things they try to block, you know them. It's like it's just the same game plan over and over and over and over, and you can see it in any state. Texas, Oklahoma, Arizona, Missouri, Florida is huge, of course. Wisconsin, Michigan. It's the same shit everywhere. And here you got Alec praising Rick Scott, that Nazi asshole in Florida. This is USA Today. What is ALEC? The most effective organization for conservatives, says Newt Gingrich. It's just like, it's a machine, guys. They have already just like fucked up everything. I mean, it's, they have got this country totally under control. And it's been so long, and they're so deeply embedded and so easily getting everything they want that that's why it's such a major issue for the people on the left to be pushing the Democrats to fight. And they fucking don't, because they're just as corrupt. That's why we needed Bernie Sanders, but they rigged the primary and blocked him out twice. Alec, the Free Range Parenting Act. Okay, I don't even know what the hell this is, but it's just some of their garbage. This was a huge article about the charter school push. Cashing in on kids. 172 ALEC education bills push privatization back in 2015. Okay, and this was on prwatch.org. So, and here, then, this was in the Atlantic. Matt Stoller, who's really an excellent journalist, and I don't know. I think his degree's in history. He's really this was an excellent article. Going back into the 70s, showing how the Democrats also turned away from being the party of labor toward being basically just a copy of the Republicans. Okay, so this was in the Atlantic. Who funds ALEC? Yeah, 98% isn't from dues, but it comes from corporations, corporate trade groups, and corporate foundations. Huge money, guys. ExxonMobil, they're all in there. Just, you know, what goes on behind closed doors. The organization boasts 2,000 legislative members, okay? 2,000 legislative members. Okay, these are state level legislators, federal level legislators. And they even have people on your local city councils and school boards. I'm telling you, that's how far it's gotten. Okay, um, they've got this country locked up, guys. I mean, we are in a battle now, trying to save our planet, trying to save our society from tumbling into fascism, and they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, guys. We're in a real battle for humanity here. Okay, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and cut this off now. So I just wanted to show the real mechanics of it, and you can just go look it up. Okay? Please share this. Very important. Thank you.